Welcome to Read the Book First, the book to movie podcast where we always think you should read the book first. Today, we're talking about Game Changer and Heat of Rivalry by Rachel Reid. If you've not heard about Heat of Rivalry, get on the internet. And to help me break down these two books is my friend Jenn, who's back on the pod. Thanks, Jenn, for joining.
So excited to be back.
Yes, obviously, like everyone else that's on the internet since November, we've all been obsessed with Heated Rivalry. We've all been just it's every thought I have that is, you know, every thought
It's
is
brought
about
me
them.
such an insane amount of joy that I think I'm rediscovering how to like my life again.
Truly. And that sounds dramatic for what these books are about, but it's 100% true.
1000%.
Hmm. And then I was really like shocked because for myself, because I'm not a big sports romance girly. Like I've read the Chloe Lease books that you influenced me to read, and like those are sports. I would say they're sports adjacent romance books, as in the characters are just professional athletes, not that
Hmm.
they're sports romance. And so these are really the first sports romance books I've read, and I broke the podcast rules, guys. I watched the TV show before I read the book. Um, oops. But I have since gone back and read the book. But like, truly, these have taken over my brain.
It's so cool that Jacob loved the book so much.
Hmm.
It highly influenced the show, but it's the fact that like Rachel's getting to be there watching it come to life and like all this stuff.
Hmm.
And like the same things we loved about the characters in the books were the things Jacob loved. And that's why it's such a good adaptation.
Yes.
But the books are like, they're fun and they're a little silly. I saw a person I love very dearly said she left a review of the book. She was like, I just think they're kind of overhyped. And I was like, that actually is personally offensive to me specifically. What do you mean? And it's
Uh-huh.
the books are not going to be for everybody. And I get that.
No.
But it's such an emphasis on emotional development
Yes.
between these two athletes who they did not choose to be rivals. The NHL
Uh-huh.
decided they were rivals. Third person can be so bad in books, and Rachel does it so well. Like,
Hmm.
I always think third person is good when I just don't clock that I'm reading it in third person. I'm reading
Hmm.
it like I do anything else. If you make it clunky and weird, I can't read it. It sticks to
Yeah.
my brain. I don't like it. But when it's written like this, I'm
Hmm.
zooming through this thing. Game
These
Changer,
books are so fun.
I think I
I'm
read Game
zooming through
Changer in
them.
like 24 hours.
Yeah.
Like it
Yeah.
was crazy. Heated Rivalry, I did the audiobook before the show came out, and now I'm rereading it. So
Hmm.
I can annotate my physical copy with all of my favorite parts. But
Hmm.
like it
Yeah.
was so good.
I was curious to see if you had read these before, like well before in advance of the show, just because you read sports romance way more than I do. Just,
I do. And my friend Danny had been telling me to read this book
that
specifically
was my next question.
for like 2 years.
Yeah.
And I had not touched it. I was like, okay, I'll get to it. Okay, I'll get to it. It's a week before the show comes out. And I'm like, I've got to listen to this audiobook. Like,
Yeah.
I want to know what I'm getting myself into. And then I get to the end of the audiobook and I was like, that's so good. And then I watched like the first episode of the show and I was like, oh, wow. Okay.
Hmm.
Um,
Hmm.
and I didn't touch any of the other books yet. Always knew I was going to go back and read them.
Yeah.
Uh, and there's also kind of like controversy over the reading order.
Yeah.
My advice, my personal preference is Game Changer, Heated Rivalry, Long Game, everybody else. And everybody else you can do in the order that they go in. But that way
Yeah.
all of those stories are taking place during Shane and Ilya's stories. Like I
Yeah.
think that's another cool thing of just getting to read through the book is you're
Hmm.
seeing like all these little bits and pieces of these characters.
Hmm.
And like you read Game Changer first, and then when you get to that scene again in Heated
Hmm.
Rivalry, it hits honestly probably the same as it did the first time I read it in Game Changer. But I'm like,
Yeah.
it was so good. I love the way she wrote it. I love the way she wrote the characters. I
Hmm.
do think it's funny. I referenced Scott as U-Haul lesbian. like just in the sense that he's like, I'm all in. I think I love you, and I think we could be great together. Because the span of is like
Very much
4
so.
months. It's like
Yes.
4 months. That's insane. I said that though to my friend who is married with children. She turned to me and said, "Whoa, whoa, whoa!" And I was like, "Oh my god, are you guys U-Haul lesbians?" And she said, "We don't use that term, but yeah." And
That's
it cracked
funny.
me up because listen, there's a reason stereotypes
Mm-hmm.
exist for a reason. They
Yeah.
aren't bad things, but he just fits a
Yes.
niche queer stereotype.
Yep.
And I
Yeah.
just find it very funny.
So even though I technically watched the show first, I did go back and I read Game Changer. I read it over the holidays on my Kindle traveling because I love reading hockey smut in public and hoping no one's looking over my shoulder on the plane.
Oh, I'll
So I did
enlarge
catch
the font
someone.
for you. Don't worry.
I did catch a girl behind me looking at my Kindle, and I looked at her and and I told her I was like Game Changer. She goes, I just read it last week, and I was like, hell yeah, girly. So what I love about the books, and like learning more about Rachel Reid is that she wrote Game Changer originally as a distraction for her going through her diagnostics. Like she has Parkinson's disease.
Yeah.
So this was like, and it wasn't like she was writing this to get published. She was writing this to have a creative outlet. And it is a Bucky Barnes and Chris Evans, or not Chris Evans. What's Captain America's
Captain
actual
America.
name? What's his human name?
Oh, Steve Rogers.
Steve Rogers, thank you. Whoa.
Stucky. The Stucky fanfic.
Stucky fanfic.
Lives on
Stucky
forever.
fanfic that she's like, and I remember I watched some video on either TikTok or YouTube interviewing her, and she's like, so like I didn't have to change much about the characters, but I did have to change a lot about everything else to make it not fanfic. And then when I read it, I was like, I love that it's true. This is just Stucky fanfic, well written. The world around the actual characters is not fanfic esque at all. I'm not like we are also both pro fanfic and fiction people. So
the thing that makes fanfic good, what you need for fanfic to be able to stand on its own is if it wasn't about these characters, would it still work? If it wasn't, this is not a Stucky fanfic for me. Like I know its roots. I know where it came from.
Yeah.
I do think it's funny reading the book, it like right early on, right? Because they meet when Scott comes into the smoothie shop. He's like, this blonde man. I'm going to be honest. Even though I looked at the book cover, you can see Scott's a blonde man. No, he's not. That's Francois. What are you talking about? So
exactly.
I'm like,
same.
A blonde man. What do you mean? But, Steve Rogers is a blonde man. And like, it's funny knowing the roots of where it started and also just being able to appreciate that it's a completely separate thing.
Yes.
It is its own thing. And that is what makes it so good.
Yeah.
You can start with a real strong foundation and make it even better.
Exactly. And I think for her first book ever to be this Game Changer specifically, and she even talks about, she's like, I thought it was going to be the only thing I ever wrote. So I put all the sex scenes in there that I wanted, which is why it's mostly sex scenes, which we were talking about earlier before we started recording. It's a quick read, but it's a spicy read. It goes quickly. They meet and they fall in love. And I love it. I love Kip so much. And we were talking about this too. It's so hard because I've rewatched the show at least 3 times, if not 4 times at this point. And it's so hard to get my brain out of the show version of this book. But I will say, I think book Kip is a little bit less soft than show Kip, and not in a bad way. I think that of all the characters, I think those two have the biggest difference. But book Kip is like, he's more grounded in his life, even when he gets thrown into this whirlwind romance. He's still like, I still have these goals and I'm gonna go do it. I'm still gonna live. Like, he just seems really grounded in the book.
My only thing I disliked about Kip, and you know what? I dislike this in any kind of romance where money is involved. Let the man pay off your student loans.
Yes.
anytime it's like a billionaire romance and she's like, I don't need you to do that. I don't need a man to do that. But if a man wants to pay
Mm-hmm.
student loans to be gone because he has the money for that to not matter to him, I'm
Mm-hmm.
letting him do it. That's
Mm-hmm.
fine. I, oh, that's my only gripe with Kip, literally in the entire
Yeah.
book. Just let the man pay off your student loans. You're
Mm-hmm.
gonna get married. Just let him pay it off. It's fine.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever.
Yeah.
But I uh I love how they fit together kind of as a couple, but also like individually. They also meet at this point in their lives where they're both like feeling stuck and feeling like this is all it's ever going to be. And how can it be more?
Mm-hmm.
And not knowing where to go. And a chance meeting at a smoothie shop.
Right.
How things ended up working out for you guys. That's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Mm-hmm.
crazy. I, and the way they like casually try and suss each other out, hilarious. Because they're both
Yes.
just like, oh, let me casually drop a hint. Neither of you are casual.
Yeah.
Neither of you know how to be casual. You're both
Mm-hmm.
U-Hauls. You don't know what you're doing. That's why you're just throwing grenades and seeing what happens.
Mm-hmm.
And I like them very much as a couple. And I like that their story is the one that changes things.
Yes.
Like they are the game changers. Like that is
Yeah.
the one thing that sets off the catalyst for everybody else's stories.
Mm-hmm.
I love that it's them.
Yeah.
I love Shane and Ilya.
Mm-hmm.
We would never have gotten all of Shane and Ilya without this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because Scott's like personality, like I think in the book specifically, you see how we see much more of his hockey life in the book because obviously in the show there's only 2 episodes and really it's like 1.5 episodes where
Yeah.
they're involved, right? Whereas in the book, you have a whole book, and he is much like obviously we know he's a leader, he's the captain of the team, but like he takes that leadership much more to heart, or we see him take it much more to heart in the book, and we see that through his interactions with his friends. Like we meet more of his like
Yeah.
best buds and teammates, and you know, uh they joke around like classic hockey dudes messing around talking
Yes.
shit. But I think what I loved most about this book, because again, I did the bad thing and I read it after I watched it, is that we see their reaction and like skipping towards the end of Game Changer, but like to Scott being like, okay, I'm gonna come out to first my agent. The agent's like, is this a bad PR move? I support you, man. Like, which also real. He's
Well,
like,
I also thought it was funny because doesn't the agent answer the phone and go, "Are you firing me? Like, what is your problem?" He's
yeah,
like, "No, man, I'm just gay."
yeah.
And the agent's like, "Oh, okay, all
Okay, you're
right."
gonna lose money. You
And
know,
he
them's the
said,
breaks.
money's never been your whole objective, so like it's fine.
Yeah. Yeah, which I thought was a fun touch. But then him being like, okay, I'm gonna come out. Does he come out to the coach first? Does he do that? Or doesn't
Is
he?
it friends then coach or is it coach then friend? I
I
think
think
it's
it's coach
friends
then
then.
friend. Oh.
Oh, we're gonna have to do some research, figure out which one is wrong. There's a player for the Habs
hmm
who's listed as 5'8", right?
Wait for the
And
Avalanche?
this is in real life. The
Yeah.
Habs,
Oh, the
Montreal.
Habs. Okay.
Listed as 5'8". I've seen this man in person. I think you're 5'8" with skates. And that's fine. But there's a quote in the book, and it's Huff was short. He's listed as 5'8", but Scott sometimes wondered if he had been measured while wearing skates. And I was like, yeah, like some of you are. It's
That's
fine.
hilarious.
And it just made me laugh because there is a player where I was like, okay, sure.
Yeah.
I will say, this is my only problem with Rachel's writing, and maybe it gets different in the next book. Who knows? Every author has a word that is like their crutch word for a while, right? Hers is
hmm
agony. And if
Is
you
what?
keep using agony,
Agony.
and if you keep using it against me, Rachel, I swear to God. But like in Heated Rivalry, it's is it agony for you too? And then Ilya's like,
hmm
no, not anymore. And then in this one, you know it'll be agony for me too, right? Kip said. And I'm like, why does it have to be agony? Like soul crushing, life ruining pain?
hmm
Ah, And it makes sense because these are men in the closet who, like anyone in the closet who cares about someone and cannot express that publicly, like you feel like you can't talk to anybody about that. It is agonizing. It's awful.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the correct word choice, but like I hate
But
it
again
because
and again.
it's really, it emphasizes like what this is. It's
Yeah.
people in the closet who are in love and can't do anything about it because
Hmm.
they feel like it's going to implode their entire lives.
Yes. In the book, Scott's mom was killed by like a drunk driver, and
Yeah.
so Scott ends up going to a private school that ends up setting up his whole career of
Yeah.
being a professional skater or hockey player. And so that's, another added pressure of why
Mhm.
he doesn't want to come out because of the foundation. And I think I don't know, maybe it's just my thoughts on that. I think it's a little bit like of the reasons why Scott doesn't want to come out, what all are valid, but I think that one's a little less strong in the book than it is later on in the show. I think his leadership role and just the general homophobia of the NHL
Yeah.
is like the number one. Not that you have to rank reasons of not coming out, but like it
Yeah.
did the trauma with his passing of his mom and all of his childhood at that school and his connection to that charity was like not as strong of a reason, I feel like, in the
Yeah.
book, which is interesting. I also kind of like we also see in the book that Kip has, he's interacting with his folks and stuff, but his relationship with his dad is not as prominent. And like
Mhm.
we can talk more about the show next episode. I know it's really hard to not talk about the show, but like I
We
because I
were
read the
ready with
book,
comparisons.
yes, because I read the book after I watched it, I was like,
Yeah.
oh man, that was a little bit of a letdown.
Yeah. I think something that I think the show is going to keep doing, and I hope they keep doing, just that is slightly different than the books, is all of the parents being parents who love their kids. It is not parents whose love is conditional. It is not parents
Hmm.
who see their child differently when they find out that they're queer or they acknowledge the queerness. Um, it is parents who care about their children above everything else.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
I don't know if we're going to get that in the rest of the books. I haven't read them yet, obviously,
I'm
but
halfway through Tough Guy,
yeah,
and I really like Ryan Price, who it follows.
it's a grumpy one, isn't it? I'm so excited to see him.
He's the enforcer guy, the
I
veteran
love him.
enforcer.
Yeah, the one who
Yeah.
gets traded like every season.
Yeah. Yeah. But no, I think as far as the parents goes, and I think that's like, with except we haven't talked about heated rivalry yet, but with exception to essentially Ilya, all the parents we've met of these characters
Mhm.
love their kids,
Yes.
whether or not they're gay or queer. And I think that's because Rachel herself is a parent and she talks about, besides, wanting a creative outlet when she was going through her diagnosis, she also was like, I'm a lifelong hockey fan and I hate how homophobic the NHL is and the homophobia they support. So like what would it be like if I was a professional gay athlete? And so like that's what she's exploring in these books. She's not exploring what if I had awful parents. You know what I mean? And I think with queer literature over the last, 15 years, so much of it is like traumatic and expressing the pain that comes with being a queer person in our world, who is not able to be fully accepted for who they are. And and there's always, been books, of course, that are just like joy. But I think these books so far, like the two and a half that I've read, I think she does a really good job of like making it like, hey, every life is hard for everyone, but we're going to make sure that these people who have not seen themselves in media be happy in healthy relationships and celebrated, we're going to make them be celebrated with also like there are still life events that are traumatic. You know what I mean? Like I think she does a really good job of that. And it's smutty.
Yeah. I think like because Jacob says the same thing, talking about the show, and the reason
Hmm.
he adapted it the way he did is that the books are about queer joy. it is about love and happiness. And one thing I really love is you don't have to be a queer man to be able to relate to these characters. You don't have to be a man. You don't have to be queer at all to find pieces of yourself in these characters.
Mm-hmm.
But when you do and you relate to them in any of those
Mm-hmm.
ways, it is so much more impactful seeing
Mm-hmm.
these things
Yeah.
happen. And just, it's like, I like that it exists in the real world. Like, we're not saying like the NHL is perfect. That place is homophobic in the
Yeah.
books and in real life. It just is. Acknowledging that while still pursuing joy, still
Mm-hmm.
accepting joy when you find it, allowing yourself to be loved in these circumstances where it feels very daunting and
Mm-hmm.
feels very scary.
Mm-hmm.
That's, it's just very joyful.
Mm-hmm. Especially the end of Game Changer. So, Game Changer, again, if you've not watched the show, well, one, go read the book first, because I have to say that legally for myself, because I created this podcast. But also, if you've not watched the show, like the end of Game Changer in the book, like I'm not gonna lie, I was kind of worried it wasn't gonna hit as hard as it does in the show, just because the ending of this of Kip and Scott's storyline in the book is iconic, but it's so good. And I like how like there's we see Scott's forethought about it. Like he has that conversation where he comes out to his three besties on the team and they all like they razz him up like, okay, dude, also like you're old still, ha ha ha. Like, like they like accept him immediately. Like they take a beat and like they accept him and then like still like, okay, anyways,
Yeah.
we're gonna win this game, right? Like, and I love that. And I think that really added to the end scene where he ends up winning the cup and calling Kip down and all of that. And Kip getting accepted into the, where all the wives go to. They're like, okay, you can come with us. Like, I just,
Welcome to the
it's so
WAG,
good.
big guy. Like,
Yes. Yeah.
I love it. I also, um, so Eric Bennett is one of his besties, and we know that we get to see him later on because he has his own book, which I'm very
Yes.
excited for. I also like, I love Carter.
Hmm.
I love that man. There was a brief second where I was like, Carter, you better watch your mouth. But he is one of those characters where like he's one of those straight guys where he is super supportive of his best friend. He loves his best friend. That is his bestie, 10 toes down. He loves him. But also, like, I'm coming with you to Scott Hunter night, but I'm coming with my girlfriend because I want people to know I'm straight. And I'm like, okay,
Hmm.
you're fine. Everything is fine. I do also, this is me guessing. I have a theory he ends up with Elena. That's my thought process. I think Carter's
Ooh.
gonna end up with Elena. But that was because, do you remember in the book, they go to that charity thing and she
Yeah.
dances with Scott.
Yeah.
And when they're leaving, Carter's like, oh, I see why you didn't want to tell me about her. She's so beautiful. And he keeps like, he brings up Elena two more times during the book.
Hmm.
And I'm like, you
Yes.
like her. And why wouldn't you? First of all, she sounds incredible in the book. She looks incredible in the show,
Hmm.
obviously. But that's my theory. I don't know yet
Yeah.
if
I
it'll
like the
happen.
theory.
That's my theory.
Yeah. I love that Scott buys the Kingfisher at the end, right? Like he's like, and that's such a like Scott move where he's like, I was too scared to go to the birthday party. So instead I bought the whole bar.
Rich man things. Rich
Yeah.
man things. Like, I love that for you.
Oh, you
It,
hang out here all the time with your friends? I now own it.
congrats. And I love knowing that the Kingfisher is gonna like circle back around.
Yes. Yeah,
I
Kyle comes back.
I know. I like clocked that when I was reading Game Changer.
Uh-huh.
Because obviously there's a Scott Hunter episode in the show.
Hmm.
And everybody's like, Kyle. And I'm like, okay. And then I read the book, I'm like, oh, Kyle. I get
Yes.
it now. I I think it's funny, like there are small things happening that if you haven't read the books, don't make sense to you until you read the books. And
Hmm.
then you see it like somebody mentioning something and you're like, I know the reference now. I get
Yes.
it. And
Yeah.
I love when that happens.
Yeah.
I do think it's also super cool that because Jacob loves the book so much, because he fought for the show to actually look like the books, they only enhance each other.
Mm-hmm.
Like you can watch the show first and then read the books and
Mm-hmm.
getting all of this stuff that just adds to the show.
Mm-hmm.
Or you can read the books first and you get to see all of this stuff come to life and really add emphasis to these scenes that you've already read, these
Mm-hmm.
characters you already love. It's just so cool because I don't think in my entire life I have ever had an adaptation where they did that. Like
Mm-hmm.
it actually fully resembles what I love about the book, what I read in
Mm-hmm.
that book is in the show.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I do think it's super fun that just the way they so like out loud love it too. Connor and Hudson too, like
Yes.
they love the writing, they love the characters, they speak about them with such kindness and fragility almost like
Mm-hmm.
they are soft and to be taken care of and they care
Mm-hmm.
about these characters. And I think that's so cool to be able to witness like they read the same book I did, they love the same things I loved in these books.
Mm-hmm.
And like getting to hear Francois talk about it too,
Yep.
where like life is scary and hard and being alone is harder and your
Mm-hmm.
life can still be fulfilling and full of love and career success and you're making all of these cool things happen in your life and
Mm-hmm.
still want this kind of love. And I
Mm-hmm.
think it's just been that's made this a really cool experience getting to come back and like read the books and get this
Yes.
like immersion into the world. It's
Mm-hmm.
just really cool.
Yeah. It's it's truly like whenever I don't have to think about my work and my students and I have a moment of like chill time, I'm like, I should rewatch this. I should reread this. Like I've been like getting over an awful head cold, but yet I've been staying up reading the next book. Like,
Mhm.
and and I'm a romance reader, you're a romance reader, but I don't, and like these, the books are well written. Don't get me wrong, they're well written. They're not the most life-changing romance books, like as far as like writing style goes, but the heart of these characters, like the characterization of them, especially Ilya and Shane, which we'll talk about briefly in a second. Um, like the heart behind it, I think is what gets me hooked in these books.
1000%.
Yeah, and I think it's what's getting people that don't necessarily read romance or queer romance or sports romance or the trifecta, it's getting them hooked. And I love to see it.
I agree. I love like the number of people that I like have shown this show to, have shown these books to. One of my
Mhm.
friends, I showed her the show first because she doesn't read a lot, but
Yeah.
I showed her the show and I was like, this is really important to me. If you don't like it, that's fine. I need you to never tell me that to my face ever. We're allowed to have your own opinion. I don't want to hear it if it's bad.
Yeah.
And she loved the show and she was like, you said it's based on books. And I was like, yeah. And she went and got like the whole series
I love
because
that.
she's excited to just dive into it. And it is one of those things where regardless of where you're starting to get into it,
Hmm.
the heart of the story, like it is about hope and about
Hmm.
joy.
Hmm.
And there are so many books that can make you feel good at the end.
Hmm.
I don't know what it is about these ones that like emphasizes that, but it's literally like
Hmm.
it feels like a little ball of sunshine in my chest when I finish the books. Like
Yes.
it just feels big.
Yeah.
And it's not like I maybe part of it is that it's not like the most linguistically like top notch like
Yeah.
ever kind of book because it didn't need to be.
Yeah.
And that makes it so good at what it is. And
Hmm.
I don't know what
Yeah.
it is. Books.
There's some secret sauce in this stuff.
She did something and
And
she
again,
keeps doing it.
yeah. And this is coming from two people who love romance and who love reading books in the same genre. It's not like we're new to this.
Mhm. I've
But
read
yet,
a ton of incredible romances, books that I
yeah,
still think about that like
yeah,
make me feel all warm and fuzzy. But this is like a glow.
it's
It's like
yeah,
bursting.
yeah. No, I agree. Um, okay, well, so I guess now we could go dive into Heated Rivalry, the book, because this is okay. Whereas, yes, Game Changer, honestly, I would argue is a bit smuttier than
Oh
Heated
no,
Rivalry.
not even a bit. It's
It's just every other chapter's a sex scene, which is great. Something about these boys in this book, I I just I can't get
I
enough of.
genuinely, this is one of those like inject it in my veins kind of situations
Yeah.
because what's happening?
Hmm.
Why? Also the fact that like before the show came out, when I'm just listening to it, I'm like, I love these characters. Like
Yeah.
I would die for these characters. They're incredible. And
Yeah.
then the show comes out, and I'm like, okay. So the characters and Hudson and Connor.
Yeah.
Oh, unfortunate for me.
Yeah. They got it all. I was so surprised. Heat of Rivalry starts with like a prologue where it's set because okay, also Heat of Rivalry. I don't know why Rachel Reid did this. I mean, I do because it's well, it's good. It's very excellent story crafting. But like Game Changer is just starts at point A, ends at point B. She was like, what if my next book's timeline is one of the most complicated things outside of the sci-fi genre?
Yeah, you're gonna look like that guy from It's Always Sunny with all of the stuff on the wall
Yes.
and all the red lines. Charlie.
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna look like
Mm-hmm.
Charlie. That's
Mm-hmm.
and that is how I look, right? I'm trying to keep track of these timelines while I'm reading, and
Yep.
I'm okay. And
Yeah.
it's a decade. It's a decade
Yes.
of falling in love.
But that prologue where they're meeting up in Shane's empty, this is where we secretly have sex apartment, after a game, and he's like, I hate this man, but I need him so much, which like is kind of Shane's whole thing. But like it was much more angsty and like negative in that
Mhm.
prologue. And when I
Yeah.
started reading it, I was like worried. I was like, am I not gonna like this? I was actually terrified. I was like, should I stop reading? Should I just rewatch the
Oh
show?
no.
Like I was scared. I was like, oh no, oh no, what is going on? And then don't worry, it got better.
It
It
all
got
works
great.
out. It all works out.
It all
Everything's
worked out. Yeah. But I was just like, because we get, Shane's like POV about how much he like hates the situation and hates that how much he needs Ilya and like physically and emotionally and everything.
yeah.
And I was just like, I was shocked. I was shocked. So, okay. So also I was watching the show as it came out. And then we went to New Mexico for Christmas at my mom's, and Isaac was there, and Isaac hadn't watched it yet, and I'd been bothering him forever because I
Okay.
was like, "We're going to be watching this while at my mom's, so you need to watch it so that you know what's going on, and don't ask me questions while we watch this episode." And so as that was happening, I was also started reading Game Changer, and I remember I read this scene, and I was like, "Isaac, the book starts not the same." And I'm scared. And he's like, uh-oh. Because he like wasn't like he hadn't at that point hadn't watched episode 5. So he wasn't
Yeah.
hooked. He was just like, whatever, hockey. I mean, he loves hockey. So I was like, eh. But and so he's like, haha, it's gonna be bad. And then I got hooked and it was all good.
Yeah, because
But
even the people who go in being like, okay, sure, whatever, it's a hockey
yeah,
romance show, they end up
yeah,
loving it because it's
yeah,
great.
yeah. But I I love how mixed up the timeline is because if you're going to tell a love story that takes place over 10 years, I don't want to hear about every single year. You know what I mean? That's a series itself.
Yes. We in the next episode we can talk about like changes they made between
Hmm.
the show and the books. But I think it's funny that like I I love when characters are like, I don't like them. I
Hmm.
just text them when I'm feeling bad and I like seeing them win and whatever. It's so stupid stuff where they're like, they're stupid. I don't like them. And then they're like,
Hmm.
oh, he won the cup. And it's you like him. And it's okay
Hmm.
to admit that. And I do think, like, obviously a driving force between them not wanting to come out publicly is the NHL is homophobic. Uh,
Yes.
one of the other things that I thought was interesting was even though they did not put this pressure on themselves of being rivals, that's like a thing for Shane where he just feels this immense shame almost at
Hmm.
being so infatuated with someone who's supposed to be an enemy, at like it almost feels like he's telling himself he's being gullible or like he's not like he's weak for falling for the enemy or something. And they're like these are untrue things he's telling himself, and he's constantly fighting these with the
Mm-hmm.
truths that are happening for him. But he is just like he's just a very sensitive boy, and I love that about him. And
Mm-hmm.
they both are also such interesting characters separately.
Mm-hmm.
And the way that they come together is so interesting because they are very different people.
Yes.
I think one of my favorite things about Ilya loving Shane is that his favorite parts of Shane are like all the autistic parts. It's like he likes, I saw somebody talking about in Russian, like the word boring literally is like the complete opposite of like exciting. And
Mm-hmm.
it's like safe and calm and all of
Mm-hmm.
these things that like Iliad was not granted as a child. They are things that like he just historically has not gotten to experience. And he's with Shane and he feels peace and he
Yeah.
feels calmness. And he likes this little weirdo who likes to fold his clothes before they sleep together
Mm-hmm.
and has to like only drink ginger ale unless he's
Mm-hmm.
drinking alcohol because he's stressed out and trying to unmask. And
Mm-hmm.
like all of Ilya's favorite parts of Shane are the things that make him different, are the
Mm-hmm.
things that, again, we'll talk about this, like the show itself later, but like the parts of him that most people would like to like strip away and say, well, everybody does
Mm-hmm.
that. No, these are the very neurodivergent things about Shane,
Mm-hmm.
his favorite pieces.
Mm-hmm.
And I know the long game is going to ruin my life. I've seen enough spoilers. I'm aware. Ilya, my sweet, soft, darling child.
Mm-hmm.
I love him. And I
Mm-hmm.
love that he is still hopeful about love, even though it's
Yes.
fucking scary. And the only time he's ever really experienced that in the book is from his mom. That's the
Yep.
only person who's ever loved him, who has ever made him feel safe, ever made him feel good.
Mm-hmm.
And he was a child. He was a baby.
Mm-hmm.
And he
Mm-hmm.
not only lost his mom, he was not allowed to mourn her. He was not allowed
Mm-hmm.
to acknowledge that she died because she was in pain.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like struggling with these things that he never got to like acknowledge or get his own help for. And
Mm-hmm.
uh, if I have ever wanted to fight characters in a book,
Mm-hmm.
I do also. This is one change in the show that was just really funny to me. I was like, why did they change his name to Alexei instead of Andre?
Same.
Um, Jacob said me and Rachel couldn't remember what the brother's name was, so we had changed it and we just kind of left it. And I was like, that's actually hysterical.
That's hilarious.
Love that for
I
you.
love that. That's something I
So
would do.
that's why, in case anybody wonders, it is Andre in the books. That
Yeah.
is his brother, and it's the same brother that is in the book.
Mm-hmm.
But his name is Alexei in the show.
Yeah. That's funny. I saw a TikTok with Rachel Reid, I don't know, sometime the last few months, where she said that one time she had a list in her notes where it was like, Ilya is this and Shane is this. For example, the one I remember is that Shane is obsessed with hockey and loves it with his whole heart, where
Yeah.
Ilya is just really good at hockey.
Yep.
And I think there's some other like funny, more like quirky ones, but I think that is such a example of how they differ because they are thrown into the NHL at the same time, being number one and number two each year it switches. They are everyone's the PR team of the NHL is like, you guys are rivals, woohoo! And Ilya's like, I'm not in Russia, sure. And Shane's like, this is the plan. I'm going to stick to it. And my momager said this was a good idea, so I'm going to keep
Yes.
doing it. And so it just shows them how, like, it shows the character. It's just like the way she writes these two characters. It's so great. And like, we see obviously the like big factors of why Ilya wants to not come out because of the NHL of it all, but also the Russia of it all, and then his family's, various family issues and trauma. And then Shane's obviously the NHL of it, but there's also so many other issues, like the way that why Shane is hesitant and scared to come out is totally different. And I
Yeah.
think that's so interesting that we have these two characters at the top of their level and we have these deep examinations of why they're in these situations. And it's so fascinating and the yearning.
The yearning is insane. I think it's also so the fact that she's able to do a series and all of it, like for a bunch of these players, yeah, it's examining the NHL is homophobic. I can't come out.
Hmm.
I can't do this.
Hmm.
And for so many of them, it's all of these added layers.
Hmm.
For Scott, yeah, it's the NHL, but it's also I have all these kids looking up to me and this
Hmm.
scholarship program because I am able to fund that because I
Hmm.
make a lot of money and all that stuff. And Ilya, that being such a like the Olympics being held in
Hmm.
and he can't even acknowledge Shane.
Hmm.
And he wants to. Like in the book, he is like, I just want to hug him. Like I know it would make me feel better. I
Hmm.
feel awful being here. I feel awful that I lost, but like I know that he would make me feel better. And at
Hmm.
that point, like they haven't even been together that long. Like they
Hmm.
haven't, and I say together loosely because it really, until they define the relationship, they Ilya is doing his own thing.
Yes.
He's still sleeping with people in the book. Um, like he's
Yeah.
hooking people in different places. Shane just kind of like isn't, and that's not necessarily that like he's not attracted to people and doesn't notice
Yeah.
people. It's just that he's like, hockey.
Yeah.
And like he's there to do his job, and that's kind of it.
Uh-huh.
Uh, and one of the things I also loved with Shane being gay and Ilya being bisexual, especially when we get to the scene when they're with Shane's parents, is Ilya saying that was real. Like I was attracted to those women. I did sleep with those women. I have only ever loved one person.
Hmm.
Also, that line just puts me on the floor
Ugh.
every time. And Shane being like, me too. And I'm like, because it's been 10 years before they could acknowledge how big they felt.
I am just now putting this together because next week is Isaac's and my 10-year anniversary. And I'm just now thinking, like, because Shane and Ilya see each other max 4 times a year when
Yeah.
they play games. And then that's it. Like, sometimes they flirt text, not nearly as much as they do in the show. They
Yeah.
barely text, which I
But
think is understandable. But, like,
yeah,
wild.
it's, it is, I think part of it is also like such a safety measure of like, well, I don't like
Yes.
him. We just hook up because it's convenient.
Yeah.
Like, I'm only hooking up with him because we're in the same city. Okay. Do you know how many other people are in this city?
Yeah.
That's fine. That's fine. That's fine. No, you're only hooking up because you're in the same city. Obviously. Don't worry about it. But it's just the way that they, and this happens like earlier on, the way they become like this sense, this source of comfort for each other. That it's like sometimes they don't recognize that they're doing it too, which I think is so interesting because it depends on like whose POV you're looking at.
Hmm.
And they both like that's the first person they want to tell when something happens. That's the first person
Hmm.
they want to call when they've had a bad day. And they rub it off so many times where they're like, whatever, I'm going to go hang out with my friends. And they like go out to the bar or they start dating Rose Landry and they like do all this stuff where they're just trying to find what they feel with each other in somebody else so they can stop feeling like this. And it just
Yes.
doesn't work out that way for them. Ugh, and I love that
Yeah.
about them, and I hate it because it takes them a while. Um, and they're just the yearning. It's always the yearning.
It's so extreme. And I saw someone's like tweet or something going around, and I don't think this is a 100% accurate statement, but someone was like commenting about the like success of the show and the obsession, saying that it's not often we get a show where we have such levels of yearning and such like like a good payoff without the like power dynamics of misogyny. And I think that like I don't think that's a 100% true statement, but I think that is part of why when people are like, why do women like gay romance? And I'm like, one, women might not be straight.
Yeah,
Ever thought of that? One, two. Sometimes, I don't know. It's nice to see people in love. Duh. Three, the world's hard. And like, but I think there is something to that, especially with this book, because there is such like tension between these two characters as far as professionally on the ice, literally, like they're going against each other. You know, there's the enemies to lovers of it all, but also there's the tension of in their lives and with each other of like, I'm who's gonna be the first one to say this is real? You know, it takes us over 8 years to do this. Like there's that tension, but like you're not scared. Like there is power dynamics in the world, but it's not between them. And
Yes.
I thought that was an interesting idea. And I do think that has something to do with why people are really liking this show and and the books, you know?
Yes.
Oh,
I
so,
am trying to find a spot in the book. So there's something. So this is when they're in Florida
hmm
for the All-Star game. So Shane's been dating Rose Landry,
hmm
and this is like they had both reached a point where they were like, I cannot be in love with this man. So like I'm gonna do everything in my power to not do
hmm
that. And that is literally when Shane starts dating Rose. And I also like, listen, bestie, I'm not trying to tell you anything about yourself. But if you meet a girl who's smart and funny and likes hockey and like can carry a conversation with you, that doesn't mean that you necessarily want to date her, right? She can still
hmm
be cool and incredible and amazing. But like it literally ends with Shane being like, Shane likes a girl. And I'm like, yeah, like being the operative word, big dog.
Yeah.
Because Rose is,
Yeah.
we stay in Rose in this household.
Yes.
But bestie, liking
Yeah.
a girl does not mean you are attracted to a girl. And I
hmm
hate that you have to go on this journey. But they, as far as Ilya knows, when they get to the All-Star game in Florida, Shane and Rose are together. And that's like his thing. He's like stressed out about it. He hasn't talked to him in like 2 months. He's freaking out seeing him at this bar for the first time. And he's worried that, he brought Rose with him and he's going to have to watch that all weekend. Like, this is his thought process going on because we get all of this in Ilya's POV. But there's one part where he says he thinks that Shane says, can I tell you something? And you promise not to make fun of me. And he's like, sure. And his thought process is, Ilya waited for the words, I'm seeing someone, I'm engaged, I don't need you anymore. That's his thought process while he's like waiting for Shane to be like, get fucked. And then Shane's like, I hired a stylist. And he feels like his stomach drops out of his body.
hmm
He's like, that's it? That's the big news? And that's the big news for him. And like for Ilya, that was like a terrifying moment for him because
hmm
he is figuring out he's in love with this man and he doesn't know how to deal with that. Spends the rest of the book terrified that Shane does not feel the same way. And like he's just experiencing all of these emotions and I love him so deeply for it.
I love these boys so
I
much.
genuinely.
Um, so with this book being over 10 years, we see the ending of Game Changer in the book, which is when Scott brings Kip on the ice and kisses him after winning the Stanley Cup. And at this point, um, Ilya and Shane are texting a lot. Just I can't remember. Does Shane get hurt in the book like he does in the show?
Yes.
Okay. I was like, I couldn't remember if that.
No, let me tell
Yeah.
you let me tell you one little tidbit about the show, right?
Yeah.
We know that Marlowe is the guy who hits Shane. We know that
Yes.
we like Marlowe. Like
Yeah.
outside of like even if you don't see him in the show, in the book, we like Marlowe. Dude's
Yeah.
chill. He's just a big dude, right?
Yeah.
I got like 4 different texts from 4 different group chats when we all clocked who Marlowe was on the show and we are like, that's a big man. I don't want to see it actually. I'd prefer if we didn't. That's a big man. And he is great at playing the
Yeah.
character. He is just like big and tall and gigantic. And I was like,
hmm
what do you mean that's where the accident comes from? What do you mean?
Yeah.
What do you mean? And I love the way that all of these different characters tie in. And like you see the friendships that you kind of recognize are healthy. And you
hmm
also recognize the friendships that are just not. Um, like there's there are just characters in these books that suck, like in real life.
Mm-hmm.
And that's like another one of those things where like this is the real world.
Mm-hmm.
People are homophobic or unkind or just weird and
Yeah.
predatory and uncomfortable. And those things happen. And you can still find joy somewhere. You can still find love.
Mm-hmm.
And it wants you to find it.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's like also been a cool thing. It's just like the books and the show have kind of like brought me so much joy that I think I'm learning how to find it again in the rest of my
Mm-hmm.
life. And
Mm-hmm.
it's like I see that for my friends too. And like we're speaking more kindly about ourselves. We are
Mm-hmm.
doing our skincare more. We're going to the gym and we're feeling
Mm-hmm.
good.
Mm-hmm.
And like all of that has been inspired by these
Mm-hmm.
books that we loved, that Jacob
Mm-hmm.
also that he decided to turn into a show, and not only turn into a show, but he loved the book so much he fought for the show to actually look like the books.
Mm-hmm.
And it's magical.
Yeah.
The whole thing is just magical. It really
Yep.
is.
Yeah. It just like like it is. And like whether you're looking at it from the show and the books or like at this like individual book because like I was thinking I was doing like my English major stuff in my brain and I was like if you were to plot out this book on like the crescendos of this book, it
Mhm.
just gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger until we get Scott and Kip kissing and Shane texting, I'm coming to the cottage. And but then it gets quiet again when they're at the cottage, but like not in a bad way, just in a oh, we're at peace because we're at the cottage.
Soft piece,
Yes.
literally. Like
Yeah.
oh, it's the most like heart, like the one thing that is guaranteed with a romance book is that you are
Hmm.
getting a happy ending. If there is
Hmm.
not a happy ending, it's not a romance book. That doesn't mean it's
Yes.
not a book. It just means it is not a romance.
Hmm.
This is like Heated Rivalry itself might be one of the only books I can remember reading
Hmm.
where you're right, where we have all these crescendos, all these big
Hmm.
moments happening, and then it's just quiet,
Hmm.
soft, and it's exploratory because you're telling this person that you deeply
Hmm.
care about and have cared about for all these years. You're telling them how you feel and you're exploring that together, and it gets to just be the two of you, no outside noise, nobody telling you what to do.
Hmm.
And it's like, it's just soft. And I
Hmm.
loved it so much. And it's the only book I can remember reading where it like drops off, but not in a bad
Yeah.
way.
Yeah.
Like all the excitement is just like kind of gone,
Hmm.
but it's
But the
good.
payoff's still there because
Yeah.
then we see them be goofy. We see them still be horny as fuck. We see like Shane being comfortable for once and Ilya being able to rest for once. You
Yeah.
know? Like the reason why they both want that calm, quiet happiness there is for totally different reasons,
Yeah.
but it's the same thing, you know? And while I was also reading the ending, I was so surprised how many direct lines that made me crack up in the show are just from the book. Like
Yes.
which is shows again how good of a writer Rachel Reid is, but also like how caring Jacob Tierney is as a creator. He was like, I know there's a huge cult fan base, and I'm not gonna not put the Wolfbird in the show. When I read Wolfbird, I was like, oh my God, this is great.
I
Like,
also just like I very like all the flowers for Jacob Tierney. Like in it,
yes.
I think genuinely, like the books themselves are very special. They do have like a cult following because people love these stories. They feel seen by the characters. They feel like that sunshine bubbling inside when they finish these books. And to know that like Jacob Tierney read it and had that same experience and wanted to bring that as it is to a different audience that is in turn bringing a lot of those people back to the books. And
Hmm.
like it's this never ending circle and I love it. Like
Yes.
I love the happiness that it's bringing people.
Yep. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. Um, I I'm so excited to keep reading the series. And also this week we found out from an quote accidental posting that's now confirmed. I don't think it was accidental. Um, I think they got a good PR person. There's gonna be a third Ilya and Shane book, which I didn't see coming. I saw them like maybe like a short story, like how they do that. Like, here's a collection of short stories about all the characters, but it's a full book. And like, I don't know much about what happens in Long Game. I know a little bit because the internet, and I've been trying to avoid spoilers.
Yeah.
But now I'm like, why would there be a third book? But they're wearing the same jersey on the
Yes.
cover.
So
So that means,
what I heard Rachel say
yeah.
is, so heated rivalry, very beginning of their relationship. They're not even in a relationship till the end. Long game, they're in a relationship, but it's like they are still closeted. I think
Hmm.
it also like it's important to know that like their story itself ends on a happy for now
Yeah.
because it's not the end of their story. So like when you get
Yes.
to the long game, it's a closure, but like they still exist in this world. There's still stuff going
Hmm.
on. So she was talking about book 3 for them is going to be about them being out and together and people know about it and like what does life look like
Hmm.
now that these things have happened and we're still together in this world. So
Hmm.
I think it's going to be interesting. I'm
Hmm.
very excited. I do think it's so funny. I This is about the show, but we know that the boys signed for 3 seasons potentially. So season 2 has been greenlit. We don't know about season 3 yet. I would assume we're going to get
I would
season,
assume.
but season 2 has been greenlit. And my thought process before we knew we were getting a third book,
Hmm.
obviously they already knew, love that for them, was that maybe Long Game was going to be split into 2 seasons so that we could interweave all of the other
All the other
books into it.
stories. That's what I'm thinking.
Now I'm kind of interested. How
Yeah.
is season 2 going to work? Because we just have a third book for season 3.
Hmm.
I don't need the Long Game to be split. So what's that going to look
But
like?
I'm
Because
I'm
the
curious
only
because the Ryan Price, so the third book, Tough Guy, Ryan Price gets traded to Toronto,
Mhm,
but Ilya's not on the team at that point, right?
mhm.
Because oh, he goes to Ottawa, not Toronto. My bad, Canada. Um, different cities. I'm very comfortable with Western Canada because that's where near Alaska. I know that geography. Eastern Canada barely exists in my brain, which is ironic because that's where most of people in Canada live. But anyway, so never mind. That thought was like, Ilya will be on that team. No, different city. Never mind.
It's fine. It's fine.
No, I'm excited and I will be reading the series
Yeah.
as, I'm gonna read for 10 minutes to an hour before bed. Here we go.
And
But
eventually we'll be able to talk about all of the books being made into the show, and it's going to be amazing.
yes, yes. And we will be talking about the show on next episode because I want to rewatch it. I need an excuse totally to rewatch it.
I haven't rewatched it since the first. I
Yeah,
I need to. I'm ready.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
time.
I'm gonna rewatch it. I'm so excited. Especially now that it will be my first rewatch after I've read the book. So,
Yeah. It is so much fun like rewatching it after reading because again, they just feed into each other because
hmm.
Jacob loved the book so much that like he brought them to
Hmm.
life. He
Yeah,
wasn't like, "Oh, let me take what I liked about this and make something totally different." He was like, "I really like these books. I want to make
hmm.
them a show."
Yeah, yeah. No, and I'm so excited, and I am also excited to see how the phenomenon does affect pro sports.
Mhm.
Like, it's gonna be a slow effect
Sure.
because there's so much history, but like, and everyone's like, it's gonna change a lot, and I was like. And like I'm not a longtime hockey fan. My dad's a huge hockey fan. Isaac's a huge hockey fan. So I'm around folks that I love going to games. Don't get me wrong. I
Yeah.
love watching hockey. I'm going to one tomorrow. But like I don't have as much stake in it. But like so all these new folks that are like coming and like specifically book talky folks, which I'm a book talk person, but I don't do these stupid things because I understand human decency.
Yeah.
Um, but I think that's gonna ramp up and they're like, it's gonna change everything. And I'm like, no. Also, like, yeah, and everyone's like putting all this pressure on the NHL, but I'm like, guys, the PWHL is right here. At a lot of the games they'll play that song the Sunshine song from the show, and they look for queer couples, and I'm like, hey, that's the bigger step there for the kiss cam,
Sure.
you know?
Well,
Like it's
NHL literally has
yeah,
married couples playing on different teams.
yes.
They're
Yeah.
giving us heated rivalry.
Yeah.
They're pulling it off.
I'm
I
gonna go see them tomorrow.
I also think I love that. I wish I
I'm
had a
excited. We're
W.
going to, well, they're doing a takeover in DC. So we're driving, and it's a 2 o'clock game. So my friend and I are driving over 5 hours at 8 a.m. and then coming back after the game.
You're gonna have a great time. It's
It's
gonna
gonna
be
be
great.
great. I'm excited.
Yes. You're gonna have
Yeah.
the best time.
Yeah. But no, I'm excited to see how the series does affect professional sports,
Mhm.
but I'm not putting all my eggs in that basket.
I'm not optimistic about any sort of rapid change.
No.
I would like for it to start moving things behind the scenes, but I
Mhm.
think anything moving behind the scenes won't be something we see for a long time.
I think the real effect that this book series and TV show series will have is on media. I think that is where we should put our optimism towards the fact
Mhm.
that this show, and we'll talk about this next episode when we talk about the show, but I think I'll have much hope for this changing professional hockey. I do have a lot of hope of it changing media in general. I
Yeah.
think that's the more
Changing the way
realistic.
people view romance.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I just can't wait to come back and talk about the show.
So excited to rewatch it. That's what I'm gonna do on Monday when
It's
I'm
gonna be great.
recovering from a road trip to the hockey game and back. Um, thanks, Jen, for joining me.
Anytime.
Yeah. Uh, thank you, listeners, for listening. Make sure you follow us on Instagram at Read the Book First Podcast. Rate us 5 stars. If you don't want to rate us 5 stars, don't worry about it. Next week, we'll be talking about the TV show. So if you've not watched it yet, you got homework, 6 episodes. You'll be hooked. Go do it. Thanks for listening. And remember, read the book first. Unless you're like me. Oops.